Alright, so I've made all the adjustments that I wanted to make to my squad. I basically ended up just selling stuff to the rec officer. So that, I didn't really buy anything because I don't really feel like I need to at this point. But before we get into the crew, let me just check on Shepard's equipment, because it's more important, really, because Shepard's the one you want to keep alive, basically, the whole time. So we're still rocking the Scorpion armor, because it's the best armor I have at this point, and until I get the 13,000 to get Scorpion 4, I'm going to be using Scorpion 1 for a while. But we still have a First Aid Interface. I actually got First Aid Interface 2, which gives me a little bit more health regen. So I equipped that on Shepard in place of First Aid Interface 1, and passed First Aid Interface 1 down to Tally. Oh wait, hang on. Still got the same amp and Omni tool. The grenades still don't have an upgrade on them because I got rid of my cryo explosive. Don't really need it. Don't want to waste accuracy on an explosive because I want to freeze enemies. Freezing is pretty good in this game, but I don't like the accuracy drop. Maybe later when we have highly accurate weapons we'll worry more about freezing things, but not right now. But anyway, put a combat sensor 2 on Shepard's weapon. I don't know if this actually affects ally weapons, but I omni-gelled my combat sensor 1 because I'm pretty sure it doesn't affect my detection level if I equip a party member that I'm with a combat sensor. And then if I was doing that, I'd have to keep switching the combat sensor around, so I was like, you know what, I'll just put combat sensor for Shepard. It's more important for her anyway. She's the most important one to worry about. And then I put chemical rounds 2 on the weapon because I got chemical rounds 2 instead of chemical rounds 1, which I had, and I passed down chemical rounds 1 to someone who happens to be in the description of the chemical rounds, popular with pirates, criminals, and mercenaries. That's an important thing to remember. So yeah, not too many changes, basically just passing stuff down that Shepard had to other party members. For Tally, she's mostly going to be along for missions where we're facing off against synthetic enemies, so if I had synthetic rounds, like ones that increase her damage against synthetics, I would be placing that on her weapon, but I don't, so I can't do anything with that for right now. Same Omni tool as before, same armor as before. I gave her a first aid interface because she doesn't have any natural health regen. I don't think she does anyway. So that'll help her a pretty good amount. It'll keep her from being, having me use too much Metagel in the process. Sorry, I'm trying to make sure that my finger isn't bleeding anymore, and I'm trying to talk. It's kind of hard to multitask those sorts of things, For Rex, I just gave him First Aid Interface 1. He doesn't really need it, but I didn't really have anything good to give him right now, because really, Rex he's probably the best party member that you get in this entire game, because he has really good health. He gets an ability that buffers his health and reduces damage that he takes. He has Barrier, which increases his shields to large amounts, and his passive Krogan Mercenary ability, or Krogan Battlemaster ability, makes him less weak to biotic and tech attacks. So, he really doesn't need that much. I think if we come across tech protection, that's the only thing I'm going to give to him, because I think his ability might only give him physics threshold, which helps against biotic attacks. It might not help against tech attacks. So if we find tech status protection, he's probably going to be the first person I go to for it. Put some organic rounds on, anti-personnel rounds on his assault rifle, because he's going to mostly be around for missions with organics, and so that's going to be helpful for him. And then I pass down the chemical rounds to his shotgun, because if they're on the ground and they're taking passive damage from toxins, while they're staggering and they're trying to get up, that seems like a pretty efficient way to help me kill them. They get staggered by the shotgun, they have to fall over and get back up, and all that time they're taking 25 extra damage that they wouldn't have taken before, so I think that's pretty nice. Same amp as before, so nothing new there. Garrus is mostly going to be around for synthetic enemies. He doesn't start with a lot of shields, though, so I gave him a shield regenerator to make sure that he regenerates his shields all right. He gets shield boost, which helps with that, but he starts off with 1 shield, even though he's a tech guy, which makes no damn sense. But same Omni tools before. I think I'm gonna get him a sniper rifle actually at some point, but I want to kind of go on a mission first before I go and buy him a sniper rifle, because he doesn't have specialization in it yet, so I'm not too worried about that for right now. I'm more worried about his assault rifles, and I gave him the Avenger 2 because he's going to be really good with it. And I gave him recoil damper for it because it will help him fire more efficiently with his rounds, and armor piercing because he's going to be along for synthetic missions mostly. For Caden there, I pretty much, I don't think I changed that much. He's still on the first aid interface that he had before, still on the same amp and Omni tool. And for his pistol, I gave him the striker because I wanted him to be pretty accurate with it, but I didn't give him any upgrades on it because I don't really have anything to pass around for right now in terms of upgrades. I could go buy more on the Citadel, but we'll find plenty of them in the missions and I'll be able to give them to him, so I'm not worried about that. And last but not least, Ashley. Ashley I did something a little bit different with. Did I give her a new sniper rifle? I did give her a new sniper rifle. Maybe I should hand that over to Garrus, although I can't really now because I don't have any extra sniper rifles to equip to her. Oh well, we'll get Garrus another sniper rifle at some point. She's already proficient in them anyway, although she doesn't have a specialization yet, so I don't know. But for her assault rifle, I gave her recoil damper just like Garrus, but I actually gave her phasic rounds just to try them. I've never really used them to any great effect before because of the minus 30% damage, but I figure with a rapid-fire weapon like this, if a 1 in 4 chance of passing through shields, even with the lower amounts of damage that the assault rifle does, is probably going to be pretty alright. So we're trying it. I don't know if it's going to be something that stays there for a while, but we're trying it just to see if it works. And for her armor, I finally gave her the assassin armor. It looks pretty cool on her, I think. And gave her a shield regenerator because, like Garrus, she has low shields to begin with. She has good health regen, just not good shields. So it's worth trying to give her something that increases her shields or makes it easier for her shields to recover. So that's all for equipping my party members. Like I said, we'll talk to Tally about the Geth later when, after we first meet them, it would be pertinent, I think. For now, rather not ruin her bad mood, or her good mood, put her in a bad mood. So we're going to go to the comm room, we're going to read some Codex entries, and then we're going to be done for the day, and then we're going to move on after this. So like I said before, I wanted to spread out the Codex entries in some way so that it's not just like me reading for 2 hours or something like that, because I looked at the time for the last time I did Codex entries, and it looks like that episode is going to be like an hour long. So I'm probably going to have to split that up into 2 parts to keep it from being an hour long. Like, that's a ridiculous amount of time for me to expect people to retain their attention there. I would still post both of those episodes on the same day, but I'm probably going to break that up. Just like I might end up breaking this episode up too, but basically after this first one, once I show you how I'm going to be doing things with the Codex, I'm going to not have to break things up as much anymore. And I want to try to get all the crew conversations, because I don't think on my first playthrough I got all of them. So it's worth talking to the crew after each mission that we go on, just in case they have something new to say. But anyway, we have Codex entries to read. We have a few more now that we talk to our ship members, our crew. So we're going to do that. Let's see, we've got Aliens Council, Extinct, Non-Council, Non-Sapient. I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to read here, because we're going to read for about a half an hour. I'm looking at the time now to make sure I have it correct. So Non-Council is also in there. Citadel and Galactic Government is in there. Humanity and the Systems Alliance is in there, but that doesn't have an entry in the primary. Planets, location, ships and vehicles. Technology, weapons, armor, and equipment has a new one as well, right? Yeah, okay. So we'll start with the stuff that's exclusive, and then we'll move into the stuff that's kind of like, together, that we got new entries for together. So, Aliens, Council races. This is probably going to be more on the Turians, I'm going to say. Let's see. It's on the Solarians.
The second species to join the Citadel, the Solarians are warm-blooded amphibians with a hyperactive metabolism. Solarians think fast, talk fast, and move fast. To Solarians, other species seem sluggish and dull-witted. Unfortunately, their metabolic speed leaves them with a relatively short lifespan. Solarians over the age of 40 are a rarity. The Solarians were responsible for advancing the development of the primitive Krogan species to use as soldiers during the Rachni Wars. They were also behind the creation of the genophage bioweapon the Turians used to quell the Krogan rebellions several centuries later. Solarians are known for their observational capability and non-linear thinking. This manifests as an aptitude for research and espionage. They are constantly experimenting and inventing, and it is generally accepted that they always know more than they are letting on.
I honestly felt like there was a missed opportunity in Mass Effect 1, because you never really get a Solarian crew member. But, I don't know. I like the Solarians, honestly. I mean, they have that whole matter of only being around the age of 40 when they die. So they kind of have to live their life pretty quickly, but they're responsible for a lot of advancements. Some good, some bad, and we'll learn more about them later, but, like, I don't know. They're not my favorite race, but they're pretty cool, I think. I don't know if a lot of the people in the game would agree with me, because the Solarians are generally not accepted in the same way that the rest of the council races are, because they always tend to know more than they're letting on, but I don't know. Maybe that's just them. We don't have an extinct races one over here, right? No, we don't. Alright, so we'll go with extinct races next. And Rachni.
Though now extinct, the Rachni once threatened every species in Citadel space. Over 2,000 years ago, explorers foolishly opened a mass relay to a previously unknown system and encountered something never seen before or since, a species of spacefaring insects guided by a hive mind intelligence. Unfortunately, the Rachni were not peaceful, and the galaxy was plunged into a series of conflicts known as the Rachni Wars. Attempts to negotiate were futile, as it was impossible to make contact with the hive queens that guided the race from beneath the surface of their toxic home world. The emergence of the Krogan ended the Rachni Wars. Bred to survive the harshest environments, the Krogan were able to strike at the queens in their lairs and reclaim conquered council worlds. But when Krogan fleets pressed them back to their homeworld, the Rachni refused to surrender, and the Krogan eradicated them from the galaxy.
That seems like a spooky thought, huh? Hive mind intelligence, just you find it and then it's like, we are going to take over everything that you've ever done. I guess it's a good thing that the Krogan were around to take care of that. Although, what was I going to say about that? I had a thought about it. What was the thought? Oh, yeah, I guess this is why they were kind of worried about us opening that mass relay, the Turians, that is, when the first contact war started, because you never know. It was an uncharted mass relay. We could have run into more Rachni again, so I suppose it makes sense that they kind of jumped on us when we opened that up at some point. So, let's see here. Non-Council is here. Citadel Galactic Government is here. Humanity in the Systems Alliance has a new thing. Ships and vehicles, technology, weapons, armor, and equipment is new. So non-council is shared, so we're going to go on that in a second. So now, like, the government has one. Planets and locations, I think, is exclusive right now, yeah. And this is in there, but weapons, armor, and equipment don't have a new one. So we'll read planets and locations first, and then we'll read weapons, armor, and equipment, and then we'll move to the secondary ones, I think. Well, let's see. Are there any secondary ones that are exclusive? I don't think so. Oh, Humanity and Systems Alliance is, because ships and vehicles is not, technology is not, Citadel Galactic Government's not, council races aren't. Yeah, so I guess I'll read the Systems Alliance one here if there's anything important to say in it. Let's see. Human diplomatic relations. I don't think we've read that one yet. I hate when they put it right at the top here, so you can't tell if it's new or old on the console. You can tell on the PC, but you can't tell on the console. Alright, well, we'll read this one, because I don't think I've read it yet. No, I haven't, because before it was just military jargon and N7 in here, I think. Anyway. Humanity has encountered many galactic species. Wars have been few, but mistrust is rife. Politically, the Alliance is a peaceful trade partner of the Turians. As a practical matter, however, there is simmering antagonism and bigotry between both populations over the First Contact War of 2157. And you know, that's justified because we did something wrong, and then they did something wrong by countering and almost trying to kill all of us. So, nobody was really in the right about that. The Alliance enjoys good relations with the Asari, though many privately believe that the matriarchs are aristocratic and overcautious. Fair point, I guess. Though humans know better than to unconditionally trust any Solarian, their shared restless, reckless ways make them natural allies against the conservative Turians and Asari. So we're more, I guess, liberal than the Turians and Asari are, and in that way we kind of share a mindset with the Solarians. It's just we don't share the same, flesh and blood, so it might be tough to trust them just completely out of the blue. The Krogan have no unified government, but individuals are generally treated as potential criminals, a reputation most Krogan enjoy living down to. Thankfully, Rex doesn't seem to be living down to that reputation. The Alliance has no formal contact with the Quarians. Their migrant fleet has not yet passed through any human-settled system, and I can imagine it would have been quite a surprise if they had passed through a human-settled system like the Sol system at some point before we became spacefaring, and then we're like, hey, look, a light in the sky, what is that? Oh, I don't know, it's probably just a star, and then like 17 million other lights just pop up in the sky. We probably would have been, our history would have been a lot different if that had happened, I think. They don't capitalize Batarians here, even though they're important. The Batarians are rivals for control of the Skyllian Verge. They severed their treaties with the Citadel to prosecute a colonial conflict against the Alliance. Officially, there's no war, but neither is there any peace. So the Batarians are kind of assholes, but we don't really deal with the Batarians in this game, at least not yet. Because they severed their ties with the Citadel, they're not really allowed there. So it kind of... Or at least we don't see them there, I don't think. So we won't really be dealing with them anytime soon, so I wouldn't worry about it. Military ranks, here we go. The Alliance uses a modified version of the ranking system that has been used for hundreds of years. I assume it's a jump off of the naval system because I looked up what the commissions are for the naval system, like our Navy in the U.S., but I'm not 100% sure on that. Anyway, soldiers are classified into rank-and-file enlisted personnel, experienced non-commissioned officers, or NCOs, and specially trained officers, which is what we are. The divide between naval personnel and ground forces, or Marines, is small. Ground units are a specialized branch of the fleet, just as fighter squadrons are. This unity of command is imposed by the futility of fighting without control of orbit. Without the Navy, an army is pointless. The Marines, as a matter of pride, maintain some of their traditional rank titles. For example, Marines have privates and corporals instead of servicemen. In ascending order of responsibility, the ranks of the Alliance are: you can be enlisted as a serviceman 3rd class, private 2nd class, serviceman 2nd class, private 1st class, serviceman 1st class, and corporal. Then you move up to the NCOs, service chief, gunnery chief, whom we have on board, and operations chief. Your officers, 2nd lieutenant, 1st lieutenant, staff lieutenant, lieutenant commander, staff commander, captain or major, rear admiral or general, admiral, and fleet admiral. So, I think Caden is a 1st lieutenant. I'm not 100% sure on that, though. He might be a 2nd lieutenant, but I don't know. But we have a gunnery chief on there, and then our commander is a staff commander. Because she's not a captain. That's why she takes orders from Captain Anderson, because she's a rank lower. But that wraps that up. I think all of these are just mutual now. So, except for weapons, armor, and equipment in the primary one. So we will read that one. We did
Kinetic.
Body armor.
A mass accelerator propels a solid metal slug using precisely controlled electromagnetic attraction and repulsion. The slug is designed to squash or shatter on impact, increasing the energy it transfers to the target. If this were not the case, it would simply punch a hole right through, doing minimal damage. Accelerator design was revolutionized by Element Zero. A slug lightened by a mass effect field can be accelerated to greater speeds, permitting projectile velocities that were previously unattainable. If accelerated to a high enough velocity, a simple paint chip can impact with the same destructive force as a nuclear weapon. However, mass accelerators produce recoil equal to their impact energy. This is mitigated somewhat by the mass effect fields that rounds are suspended within. But weapon recoil is still the prime limiting factor on slug velocity.
And that's impressive. Like, the fact that they can accelerate something to have as much damage per area as a nuclear weapon, that's crazy. I mean, obviously you're not going to cause a nuclear explosion with a paint chip, but, like, that's pretty good. I imagine it probably brought them some problems when they first used it, and they were like, oh my god, we can reach speeds of acceleration on our bullets of hundreds of thousands of miles per hour. And then they shot it at something, and it passed right through it without doing hardly any damage. And they're like, well, wait a minute. Maybe we need to modify the bullets a little bit so that it actually deals damage. So I imagine a lot of bullets are probably similar to how our shotgun shells are nowadays, where they kind of impact and then they just break apart, because the shrapnel will actually deal more damage that way in an area. Anyway, small arms.
All modern infantry weapons, from pistols to assault rifles, use micro-scaled mass accelerator technology. Projectiles consist of tiny metal slugs suspended within a mass-reducing field, accelerated by magnetic force to speeds that inflict kinetic damage. The ammo magazine is a simple block of metal. The gun's internal computer calculates the mass needed to reach the target based on distance, gravity, and atmospheric pressure, then shears off an appropriate-sized slug from the block. A single block can supply thousands of rounds, making ammo a non-issue during any engagement. Top-line weapons also feature smart targeting that allows them to correct for weather and environment. Firing on a target in a howling gale feels the same as it does on a calm day at the practice range. Smart targeting does not mean a bullet will automatically find the mark every time the trigger is pulled. It only makes it easier for the marksman to aim.
And that's also very impressive. That's got to take a lot of engineering technology to get something like that to work on something as simple and small as a gun. You know, like we think of guns nowadays and we think, you know, magazine round, barrel, pull the trigger, gun shoots wherever you're aiming. This gun can aim for you. not that it really does that for me, because I personally have the aim assist low, but as low as it can go anyway. But yeah, I find this single block of metal can supply thousands of rounds thing, it's kind of, I don't know, I find it kind of weird, just because of the fact that, like, if you're in a multiple day engagement, and you're fighting lots and lots of soldiers, you're probably going to use thousands of rounds in those days. I don't know, because I haven't been in actual combat, because I'm not, you know, a Marine or anything like that, but I gotta imagine after about a week of combat, you're going to need to redo that metal block, you know, and they don't really say anything about replacing it, so how do they replace it? I mean, we have our gunnery chief to do that. Chief Williams does that for us on board here, but, like, I don't know. Seems like it might be a little bit difficult to do. Anyway, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have non-council, Citadel, ships and vehicles technology, non-council, Citadel, planets and location, ships and vehicles technology. I think what we're going to do, because we have a little bit of a trip to get to Pharos yet, we're going to save the 4 ones that are exclusive, or not exclusive, mutual to primary and secondary. We're going to save those for later, just so this episode doesn't run overly long. And we will do planets and locations right now, and then we'll save the rest for after the next planet that we do. So we'll work on that in a little bit.
Pharos is a habitable world in the Attican Beta Cluster. 2/3 of the habitable surface is covered with the ruins of a crumbling Prothean megatropolis. In the millennia since the Prothean extinction, the ruins have been repeatedly picked over by looters many times. Pharos was considered a poor prospect for colonization, as little open ground remains for agriculture. The only sizable freshwater sources are the poles, which are tapped by the decaying Prothean aqueduct systems. The dead cities, while in good condition considering their antiquity, are of uncertain stability. Ground level is congested by a dozen meters of fallen debris, and the air is fouled by dust. In 2178, the Human Exogeny Corporation announced its intention to place a permanent colony on Pharos to thoroughly explore the ruins. The pioneer settlement was placed on the upper levels of several intact skyscrapers, using the surviving Prothean aqueducts and rooftop hydroponic gardens to support the population.
It was a smart decision they made there, putting it up all the way up in the air like that, especially if they had those hydroponic gardens there. Still, place seems kind of, like, if you have looters and bandits picking over the ruins, it doesn't seem like a good place for a permanent settlement, because they've probably picked it over, but, you know, they might come back for something. Maybe they buried something on the planet that they need to come back for. Maybe that's why the Geth are there. Maybe there's something there that they need that they... Or maybe Saren just told them to go there. I mean, I don't know. Anyway, that's going to be it right now for Codex entries, I think, just because, like I said, I want to save this stuff for on the way to Pharos, because, as you'll see next time, There's actually quite a bit of going before we get to Pharos. There's a couple of star systems that we have to actually get through, and I'm going to be exploring the ones that are on the way pretty thoroughly, at least as thoroughly as I can. I'll show more about that once we get to the actual galaxy map. Speaking of which, let's actually head towards there right now, because I think I forgot somebody in terms of our crew conversations. Hold on. We need to go over here, because we forgot to talk to our helmsman. I don't know if he has too much to say right now, but it's possible, so I want to be thorough, you know. I don't want to forget him. He's up here piloting the ship after all. We got to talk to him every now and then.
Commander, something you need?
Just looking at how the ship's running.
How's the Normandy performing? Is she everything they said she'd be?
She's the best ship in the fleet, if you've got a pilot who knows how to handle her. Balance isn't what you'd expect. Takes a while to get used to that oversized drive core we got stuffed in the back, and her power can sneak up on you if you're not careful. The Normandy's probably too much ship for your average Alliance pilot, Commander. Lucky for you, I'm anything but average.
Yeah, I gotta ask you about that, because I wasn't given too much information on most of the people on this ship, so you mind if we just chat for a little bit?
I like to know my crew. Mind if I ask you a few questions?
I can see where this is going. You did a background check on me, didn't you? Well, I'll tell you the same thing I told the captain. You want me as your pilot. I'm not good. I'm not even great. I am the best damn helmsman in the Alliance fleet. Top of my class in flight school, I earned that. All those commendations in my file, I earned every single one. Those weren't given to me as charity for my disease.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to assault you, dude. I honestly didn't know about any of that stuff.
I'm sorry, Joker. I didn't even know you were sick.
You mean you didn't know? Oh, crap. Okay, I've got Vrolik syndrome, brittle bone disease. The bones in my legs never develop properly. They're basically hollow, too much force and they'll shatter. Even with crutches and my leg braces, it's hard to get around. One wrong step and crack! It's very dramatic, but I've learned to manage my condition, Commander. Put the Normandy in my hands and I'll make her dance for you. Just don't ask me to get up and dance unless, you like the sound of snapping shin bones.
Yeah, that's a good point. So, Vrolik syndrome, huh?
I need to know more about this Vrolik syndrome if I'm putting my ship in your hands.
Yeah, of course you do. It's an extremely rare condition. Nobody knows exactly what causes it. Genetic, maybe. It's treatable, but there's no cure. They classify my case as moderate to severe. I was born with over a dozen fractures, hip, thighs, ankles. My bones were already breaking in the womb. 100 years ago, I wouldn't have survived past my first year. Lucky for me, modern medical science has turned me into a productive member of society.
Good. I mean, I don't really have to ask him how he does his job, because you don't really fly the ship with your feet, you know? It's not like a car. You fly the ship with your hands on the computer screen and everything, so I think we don't need to really ask him.
I'm not trying to make you uncomfortable. Let's talk about something else.
Whatever you want, Commander.
Well, your name's obviously not Joker, so I'm guessing that's your nickname. We already went through personal history. How'd you get your nickname?
Why does everyone call you Joker?
It's a lot shorter than saying Alliance Flight Lieutenant Jeff Moreau. Plus, I love to make little children laugh.
I'm not so sure about that.
I was just thinking how much you remind me of Santa Claus.
Look, I didn't pick the name. One of the instructors in flight school used to bug me about never smiling. She started calling me Joker, and it stuck.
So you weren't exactly happy in flight school. I mean, you said you earned all those commendations, so you probably were doing a lot of work, but you weren't happy?
Why didn't you ever smile?
Hey, I worked my ass off in flight school, Commander. The world's not gonna hand you anything if you go around grinning like an idiot.
Doesn't hurt to smile, though.
By the end of the year, I was the best pilot in the academy. Even better than the instructors, and everybody knew it. They'd all got their asses kicked by the sickly kid with the creaky little legs. One guess who was smiling at graduation.
And I mean, you earned it at that point, so... Alright, Joker. Good talk. Just wanted to get the sense of who you were and where you were coming from.
I have to go.
Alright, see ya.
We'll talk later, maybe. I'm not 100% sure if he actually says anything new later in the game. But I think I got everything that I needed to get in terms of Codex entries, crew conversations, and all that stuff on the ship. You can get more later as you move on with the game, but they kind of spread it out. Anyway. Oh, good. I got another Codex entry for the galaxy map now that I've stepped up here. Awesome. Where's that one going to be? Non-Council, Citadel, Ships, Technology. Non-Council, Citadel, Ships, Technology. Okay, so it's in the ones that we haven't done already. So I don't mind leaving those for later when we actually bother with this. But alright, so we have taken command of the Normandy. We've gotten a sense of where the crew's at and who they are, where they're coming from, what they'll be doing to help us out. Now all we have left is this big thing that we haven't been allowed to touch since we got here, but now that we're the captain of the ship, technically, or the head officer of the ship. I don't want to say captain because that's a rank, and I'm not a captain. So now that we're the head officer of the ship, we can now use the galaxy map and go wherever the hell we want. So next time, on the next episode of Mass Effect, we will be heading out towards Pharos, and we will probably be investigating the systems that we come across along the way. We'll probably also do Codex entry stuff, but we'll do that at the end of each session that I do. Probably going to make the sessions a little shorter from now on, just because these first couple, being like 2.5 hours when I was actually playing the game, those were, I mostly just wanted to do that to get everything done, but those took a while. So I think sticking to 3 half-an-hour episodes per session, I can still get this game done in a reasonable amount of time, I think. But we'll find out all about that when we start exploring all of the planets on the next episode of Mass Effect. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I'll see you next time. Probably shouldn't stare at this for any extended amount of time, huh? Probably make my eyes go crazy. Don't want to have a seizure. Not again.